I'm going to talk about a little bit how we organized civil society can have an impact and maybe long-lasting and positive impacts on the preterm birth scenario. I'm bringing a little bit about preterm birth in Brazil, just to give you a context, and then how we have been working there to change this not so good scenario. And also some tips and inspiration. Hopefully you can leave the room today with some good ideas to implement on your day-to-day. Of course, you're professionals, but we have to work together to make things better. So Brazil is the 5th largest country in the world by area, and we are the 7th most populous, and a shameful number 10 in the world prematurity ranking. And this is according to the last report from WHO, the Born Too Soon report. It's from 2012, it's quite old. But actually, the next edition will be launched in May in Cape Town at this conference. And I'll be there since I'm a proud member of the advisory group that is collaborating in the construction of this report. And hopefully we hope to see that Brazil changed a little bit in this ranking. But we're not so optimistic because the pandemic has worsened a lot of our numbers. And I brought here the website of this event that is, next May in Cape Town. So the global average is 10% of preterm births, but in Brazil we have a slightly higher incidence of preterm births. So before the pandemic, it was 340,000 babies born preterm every year. And we have this 356,000. This number is from 2021, so the pandemic had an impact. And in 2021, we had a lower total number of births, so probably this 12% will be slightly increased too. And this, of course, is due to we have a lot of typical developing country problems, such as level of education, healthcare access, and the quality of this care also. And all of these, there's a lot of room for improvement on these issues, on these processes, and this leads to teenage pregnancy and also unplanned pregnancies, inadequate prenatal care, elective C-sections, in what Brazil also has a shameful ranking. We are number 2 in world ranking of elective C-sections, which brings more preterm babies and so on. Talking a bit about our organization, we work mainly with 2 pillars that are preventing preterm birth and everything that comes with it. That's a lot of things, such as working for sexual education for teenagers, reproductive rights, and prenatal care, of course, is very important. And also advocate for the rights of babies and families. And I was really inspired by the previous talks today, brilliant and inspiring. And we want every baby to have an adequate, individualized, and equal care. So it's a work on all of these processes. It's very challenging, but that's what we have been doing the last 9 years. So I'm a nutritionist myself. I used to work in the NICU. That's where I met this amazing world, preterm birth world. And then when I was working there, I had my 2 kids. They were not preemies, but it changed everything. It changed the way I was seeing my day-to-day and all the family's journey that I saw on the NICU. Then I started with a blog. Then it became a bigger website. And then in 2012, I was chosen actually to an acceleration program in the Silicon Valley. And I was the only not high-tech background person and the only woman in a group of 10 Brazilian people that went there for this acceleration. It was a startup. But then when I came back, I decided that with a social work, with the organized civil society work, I could do more for these families. And there was no such work in Brazil back then, 9 years ago. So I decided to start the organization. But all this that happened was very important for me to make the first step. So I invited my friend and colleague, she's a nurse, Aline, she's the vice director of the organization. And today we are a national organization with 280 volunteers all over the country. They are divided in thematic work groups. We have a legal committee and interdisciplinary scientific advisory board because we know that we have to be always very close to the evidence-based practices. And we have a mental health board and an academic league to help students to graduate with this feeling of I want to change, I want to do a difference. So as Elizabeth was saying, we also do, we inform and support families. We have online psychological, free psychological support for families and for healthcare professionals. We raise awareness on different topics during the whole year about related subjects. We do charity campaigns for babies and for hospitals. Advocacy work a lot, working close to government and to Congress. Education and training for healthcare professionals and for parents as well. And academic initiatives. So, and this is our website. So some key achievements that I believe is worth mentioning here today that might help you, inspire you in some way. Some of them, we built this first big national network of parents and healthcare professionals. And we brought the subject of preterm birth to legislative representation, like we have support of a lot of politicians in all levels, like national and in a state level, in a city level, town levels. We brought to light also very important subjects, such as the regulation of follow-up services. In Brazil, we have a low number, a little number of these services, and they are not fully regulated by the Ministry of Health. For example, you have to have this minimum interdisciplinary team and how these services work. And we know that these follow-up services, they help change destinies, because if the child gets early stimulation and the right care, the child will have less consequences of this preterm birth. And we established full prematurity day. There was something that people never spoke about before, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And it's important because we put the theme on the public agenda. So it's not just lightening things in purple, which is the main color of our cause, you can see. But it's also important to bring light to the subject in a public way. One important thing that happened there in Brazil I want to bring today also is the extended maternity leave. This is something that we were fighting for since the beginning of our organization, and it happened 2 years ago. We started this process like more closely with the Supreme Court. And today in Brazil, all formal workers that have babies who stay in the NICU for more than 2 weeks, they have the right to add this period of stay, the length of stay of the baby, to their regular maternity leave period. And it's fully paid and have no limit of time, no matter how long the baby stays. She gets the maternity leave, the 120 days. In Brazil, it's 4 months, our maternity leave, plus the time that the baby was at the NICU. So this is such an achievement, and because it's something new, and sometimes companies are like, this is not true, we don't know how this works. We made this guidebook to help women to fight for the rights, and for companies how to do it like internally, and this social security codes and everything. So this is quite something really good. Also, we helped put family integrated care in some protocols that were not there before at the federal level. So for the Ministry of Health, just right there that family integrated care is a priority, and parents are not visitors. parents are part of the care of that baby and they can change everything. And also we brought to light the equity in immunization as a public policy, because preemies have a different vaccination scheme, but we want all of them to have the right to access that vaccination that is special for them and is important for them. So what I believe has been working for us is to be very close to families, healthcare professionals, to other organizations and other societies, other institutions that are related to preterm birth, and also to government and Congress, of course. They have the pen in their hands, as we say in Brazil. And it's important to know how these players work and to know their needs, their pains, so that you know your role in helping them to change the scenario. So when we talk about families and professionals, it was said that today here the importance of the effective communication, to use the right language and the right tools to communicate. With parents is something, with professionals is another language, another way of communication. But doing the effective communication, we can build like strong networks and strong relationships, but always have in mind that the shared care, the family integrated care is a priority, and the baby is the one who benefits most from this teamwork. Always have mental health initiatives for both, and we have to care for those who care. And so parents need support, mental health support, but healthcare professionals need too. And also training, education projects all the time, bringing education for parents and for professionals. Always be science guided, and be close, join efforts with professional unions and councils, because they can be very good allies for these changes. And with other organizations, also join forces and cooperate and invite them for your events and be close to them. They are good allies too. And of course, government and Congress, they are important because they can leave this legacy of these laws or decisions from the Supreme Court, like happened in Brazil, and collaborate with them. And something really important, and nowadays it's not too easy to be no partisan, because it doesn't mean that you don't have to take a stand when necessary regarding something, but it's important to be close and support initiatives and not a person, and let alone a party, because it's not our role. And how to do this social mobilization and all of these things I've said, volunteers are a great way to help you spread and have capillarity in your work. So invest in your volunteers, and they are the biggest replicators of your claims, and they can be the eyes, hearts, and brains of your organization, of your cause, the thing you are advocating for. Write public letters to decision makers, to make petitions, to apply to civil participation, government, councils, and other groups. Use social media, of course, to engage influencers, celebrities, and one important thing is, if you do all of this but never lose the human touch, always take time to thank people and to take good care of your network. And things that are really important when you're doing this work is that you remain true to your principles and have credibility, so everything that comes with it. The trust, reputation, reliability, transparency, and being committed. And hopefully, doing all of this, we can really change destinies and make the best for these tiny people who are a big part of our next generations.
I think I ran too much. I'm sorry. Sorry. Thank you.